I met him on a rainy evening in Chicago when the city lights were glowing against the wet streets, and everything felt softer than usual. I had just left my office downtown, tired of pretending to be strong all day, tired of smiling through meetings and small talk and pretending that I did not go home to an empty apartment every night. I remember pushing open the door of the little coffee shop on the corner, hoping for warmth and quiet, and maybe something sweet to make the loneliness feel less sharp. He was standing in line ahead of me. Tall, broad shoulders, dark hair, slightly wet from the rain, and when he turned, our eyes met for a second longer than strangers usually allow. I felt it right away, that sudden awareness that someone sees you. Not just your face, but something deeper, something unspoken. I looked away first, because that is what women like me do. We protect ourselves, we build walls, we pretend we are not curious. But he smiled at me anyway, soft and genuine, like he already knew I was trying to hide. When the barista called out his order, he stepped aside and waited instead of leaving. And when I reached for my wallet, I realized I had left it in my office upstairs in the building across the street. My face burned with embarrassment, and before I could say anything, he spoke in a calm, steady voice and told the barista he would cover it. I tried to refuse because that is what you are supposed to do in America when a stranger offers kindness, but he shook his head and said it was just coffee and the rain was already heavy enough. We sat at a small table by the window, not because we planned to, but because there was nowhere else to sit. The city outside blurred into silver lines and reflections, and inside it felt like we were in a different world. He told me his name was Daniel, and that he had moved to Chicago from Seattle for work. He worked in architecture and loved buildings that told stories. I laughed and told him I worked in marketing and spent my days telling stories that were sometimes only half true. There was something easy about talking to him, like we had skipped the awkward beginning and moved straight into something real. He asked me what I wanted when I was a little girl, and no one had asked me that. In years, I told him I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to create worlds where people found love and courage and redemption. He listened like it mattered, like I mattered. The rain kept falling, and the coffee shop slowly emptied until it was just us, and the soft hum of music in the background. He did not flirt in an obvious way. He did not lean too close or touch me without reason. But every time our hands brushed when we reached for our cups, I felt a quiet spark travel up my arm and settle somewhere deep in my chest. When the rain finally slowed, he walked me across the street to my building. I told him he did not have to, but he said he wanted to make sure I got inside safely. And there was something about the way he said it that made me believe him. We stood under the awning for a moment, neither of us ready to say goodbye. The air smelled clean and cool, and the city felt different, like it was holding its breath. He asked if he could see me again, and my heart answered before my mind could argue. I gave him my number, and when his fingers lightly wrapped around mine as he handed me his phone, I felt that same spark, only stronger, warmer, more certain. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every look, every smile. I told myself not to get carried away. I was 35 years old, not a teenager I had loved before, and it had ended in silence and broken promises. I knew how easily hope could turn into disappointment, but something about Daniel felt steady, like a foundation poured deep into the ground. He texted me the next morning, just a simple message wishing me a good day and asking if I had made it home dry. I smiled at my phone like a fool, and for the first time in a long time, I felt wanted not for my job title, not for the way I looked in a dress, but for the simple fact that I existed. Our first real date was the following Saturday. He took me to a small bookstore in Lincoln Park, and then to dinner at a quiet Italian place where the candles flickered against brick walls. We talked about family, about dreams, about fear. He told me his parents had been married for 40 years and still held hands when they walked down the street. He said he wanted that kind of love, the kind that feels safe and passionate at the same time. When he walked me home that night, he did not rush anything. He stood close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body through my coat, and when he leaned down to kiss me, it was slow and deliberate, like he was asking permission without words. His lips were warm and gentle, and the world seemed to narrow to the space between us. I felt my guard begin to crumble, not all at once, but in small pieces. Over the next few weeks, we built something steady. We cooked dinner together in my apartment, danced,